So you might have noticed it's Transformers 4, of course, not Transformers 3, and it's sort of opening tomorrow, although it's not.
Yeah, well, there's previews, basically. This is the way everything is going, that previews happen and they sort of roll over into your box. So the film properly opens next Friday. However, people are going to see it this weekend, so it's a preview. So a lot of people said, well, can we talk about it now? Which generally I don't like doing, but we'll preview.
You've got to talk about it twice.
Yeah, I think so. Probably. Well, it's going to be around for a while. So anyway, Transformers Age of Extinction, which is the new Transformers film from Michael Bay. There's been an awful lot written about it already, and it generally seems to be received very badly by the critics, which is nothing new. I kind of feel with all of this that the rest of the critics are catching up, because for me, the moment of real repugnance and horror was with Transformers 2, which I thought was really vile, and then, Pain and Gain. So in the case of this story, it's sometime in the future, the Transformers have now gone into hiding because the government and the evil powers that be are sort of searching them down because they no longer need Transformers. Anyway, it turns out there's a conspiracy that they want to steal the metal that they're made of, which is called transformium.
Okay.
That's transformium, to make their own stuff and sell things and make things. And so Mark Wahlberg finds a truck. You've seen the trailer. He wires the truck up to
and a
battery.
trailer.
Yes, in the trailer. He finds it in a cinema. He goes into a deserted cinema and there's a truck in it. There's a whole section in the deserted cinema in which everything is wrecked and everything is falling down. And they make all these jokes about, cinema now, it's absolute rubbish, isn't it? When was the last time, when do you see a proper movie? Nowadays, it's all sequels. And in anybody else's hands, you think that was somebody making a kind of, case of Michael Bay. It's just like, yeah. That's exactly right. Anyway, moving on. So Mark gets his transformer, wires it up to a battery. It comes to life. It's a transformer, and then more stuff happens. And then there's a whole weird backplot that doesn't work about the Transformers came here in the beginning of time, and they wiped out all the dinosaurs because they turned them into ooze that then became seed, and then that was a bit of transforming, but they ran out of it, and then they went away from the planet, and now there's a thing which will turn everybody.
I hope you treated the plot with respect.
This is the plot. The plot makes absolutely no sense at all, because it's Transformers, but what's happened is Michael Bay has decided that for the fourth instalment, he's going to go epic, okay? It's almost like he's looked at his first three movies. It's the Spinal Tap thing. You remember that thing when Spinal Tap made Break Like the Wind, okay? The Spinal Tap movie was over, and sometime later, all the members got back together again, and they made Break Like the Wind, and it was brilliant. They did interviews in character, and I think it was Derek Smalls said, yeah, well, this new album screams maturity, Melon Farmer, and this is absolutely Michael Bay screaming. But he's doing epic. But most people say epic, they think David Lean, and when he thinks epic, he thinks David St. Hubbins.
I mean, the other ones have hardly been quiet and stripped down.
No, but what Michael Bay is aimed for this time is epic. So therefore, the way he's done epic is, well, this goes up to 11. I mean, like when you're playing on the edge, when everything's already up, where'd you go? Because this goes one louder. So he's got, how can I go one louder? I can't go any physically louder. I can't go any, I know, I'll just go longer. So it's the longest, and therefore, in some ways, the most excruciating, because you are there for so long that you age.
3 hours or?
Yes, it's 166 minutes long. So it's just, it's stunningly long. And it is an absolute matter of, look at the length of that. Look how long my movie is. I have made a movie this long, and if I make another one, I'm going. But what Michael Bay doesn't understand is that epic isn't to do with length. It isn't just to do with scale. It isn't just to do with. So, I saw Zulu recently. That's an epic film. Lawrence of Arabia is an epic film, but it's to do with the fact that you're involved with the characters and the characters' relationship with the landscape and the sweep and the scope of the movie. Epic doesn't just mean louder, longer, noisier, bigger. But in Michael Bay's case, that's it, because he has no frame of reference for everything. Now, on the plus side, okay, so the film has all the problems that it usually does. I mean, it has all the kind of, the horrible sexism, the fact that there's, you've got the heroine who the camera looks at her in a really, really leery way, and then Mark keeps saying all this stuff about because it's his daughter. Oh, you're wearing shorts that are much too short, and everyone will be leering at you whilst Michael Bay is leering. And then there's a long protracted joke about statutory rape laws, which is Michael Bay's idea of funny. And so all that stuff is going on. And then there's product placement. In the middle of a battle, they'll stop and have a product-placed beverage. There's an advert for Victoria's Secret in the shape of a bus. All those things that, because of course Michael Bay used to work for them. And then, so you've got all the usual stuff, all the usual really gross stuff that you get in Michael Bay stuff. But it doesn't bother me as much as it used to in Transformers 2, and certainly not as much as in Pain and Gain, because in Pain and Gain, Michael Bay did try to show you his soul. There's no sense of any soul in this, despite the fact that Optimus Prime has long discussions about the soul of a Transformer residing somewhere other than in a bit of Transformium. And there is a long speech about look up to the stars and see myself. So Michael is deciding we're going to have all the other stuff. We've been very sexist in the past, but now we're going to sort of reference the fact that we're sexist. And we've done lots of product placement. Now we're going to reference the fact that we've got product placement. Oh, and incidentally, in this movie, we're going to go to Hong Kong, and then we're going to have the Asian Transformers. All that everyone is involved in that. So they can all do kung fu. And there's been a long article in Variety about how the movie kowtows to the Chinese government. That basically the American government is portrayed as corrupt and incompetent, but the Chinese government is portrayed as staggeringly efficient, because that's where this sort of emergent market is. But to even go into that level of political taking it apart does the movie a service which it does not deserve, because all it is it just an exercise in elongating and turning everything up to 11 and then doing it more and doing it more and then doing it some more. So it's not as repugnant as Transformers 2, because I've sort of got used to this with Bay now. It doesn't have the absolute soul-sucking horror of Pain and Gain, in which he did genuinely show you what his inner thoughts look like. The narrative is all over the place, makes no sense. The fight sequences are incomprehensible, because it is just it is like sticking your head into a tumbler dryer and letting some sort of cutlery bang around inside it. The soundtrack is abominable, and anyway, if there's any music, you can't hear it beneath the grinding gears. The performances are, with the exception of course, if you get Stanley Tucci turns up, who does the John Turturro role about I'm the funny person in this, and it's okay because actually I make decent movies and I am going to make a bunch of money out of this, and I will then probably go off and make some art house movie. But in the end, this is Michael Bay as Nigel Tufnell I can turn this up to 11. And so my preliminary review would be, in 2 words, shark sandwich.
Right, okay. And do you lose track of who's hitting who?
Never for 1 minute paid any attention to who was hitting who or what was hitting who. And the dinosaurs, robo-dinosaurs. I quite like the idea of robo-dinosaurs. By the time they arrive, I'm weary of life.
Might it be coming back for a 5th, as far as we know?
I think that the money will continue to pour in, and in unopened, previously undiscovered worlds of finance will lay waste to this, and this ongoing awful lingerie and beer advert will carry on forever.